It's all covered in today's China Truths.
Chinese geologists have warned that the Hubei region, where the Three Gorges Dam is located, is a weak spot on the national seismic map. The region lies right on the edge of the Yangtze Plate, which is constantly affected by tectonic collision zones to the east and west of China. What's scary is that the fault system around the dam is still active, capable of accumulating seismic energy over time. An earthquake doesn't necessarily have to occur directly under the dam, but only needs to be close enough and strong enough to create a resonance effect. That is the biggest risk of a giant project located in geological layers that breathe with the pulse of the earth. What is seen above ground is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, thousands of fault lines are sleeping, waiting for a strong enough shock to awaken. A few days after the Kamchatka earthquake, tremors began quietly shaking the heart of China. More than 20 minor quakes were recorded across Hebei, Sichuan, Yunnan, and most concerningly, Hubei, where the colossal Three Gorges Dam stands. Shockingly, 4 of these tremors sent seismic waves directly toward the reservoir. In western Hubei, a monitoring station detected ground vibrations lasting 42 seconds, with an amplitude 1.5 times above normal. These figures may look small on paper, but for a 39 million-ton concrete giant, they could signal the start of deep internal stress. The real danger, however, hides underground. The dam is anchored to ancient rock, shaped by hundreds of millions of years, filled with microscopic cracks and fragile tectonic scars. Beneath it runs the Qianjiang Fault, a vast rupture stretching hundreds of kilometers beneath the dam's feet. It sleeps for now, but even distant aftershocks or sudden pressure changes could be enough to wake it, with consequences no one dares imagine. After the 8.7 magnitude earthquake in Kamchatka, many international researchers expressed concern that this tremor would ring the alarm bell for the entire Asian mainland. Why? Because the ancient fault system that passes through Kamchatka, North China, and then extends all the way to the center of mainland China acts as a conduit for seismic energy. The seismic shock in Russia can be compared to a pebble thrown into a lake, creating ripples that spread to unexpected places. And the Three Gorges Dam, standing tall like a fortress, is right in the middle of those ripples. It is no coincidence that just a few days later, more than 20 small aftershocks appeared scattered across China. The problem is not how small the aftershocks are, but how frighteningly fast they come, as if Chinese geology is answering to Kamchatka. Many Chinese engineers once proudly claimed that the Three Gorges Dam could withstand a magnitude 7 earthquake. But the truth is, this structure has never been tested by a truly high-intensity local quake. The question remains, if a magnitude 7 or stronger earthquake were to strike the Hubei region, could the dam hold? With a total weight of nearly 40 million tons and enormous water pressure behind it, even a slight misalignment or erosion of the foundation could trigger a disaster. In particular, the Qianjiang Fault, running directly beneath the dam, resembles a ticking time bomb buried deep underground. If a tremor hits its resonant frequency, the entire dam structure could be seriously affected. This is no longer a hypothesis. It's a scenario that has been simulated by several independent research groups. Moreover, cracks that had previously been documented on the dam's surface have now become more visible, further fueling public concern. As tremors continue to ripple across the region, more and more observers are questioning whether the structural integrity of the dam is being quietly compromised. What once seemed like distant warnings are now resurfacing with urgent relevance. A leaked report from the Chinese Academy of Geological Sciences revealed that the reservoir area of the Three Gorges Dam is experiencing microstratigraphic shifts at an accelerating pace. These movements are extremely small, only a few millimeters per year, but for a massive structure like the Three Gorges, even a tiny displacement can lead to structural deformation. Notably, such movements were never recorded in this area before 2008, the year of the Sichuan earthquake that killed more than 80,000 people. After that catastrophe, scientists began paying attention to a new phenomenon: chain reactions within interconnected fault systems. This means that any major collision in one location could cause faults hundreds of kilometers away to begin stirring. The Three Gorges Dam is now sitting in a geological network no one can fully control. Beyond the seismic threat, the water pressure in the Three Gorges Reservoir is also a hidden danger. During the rainy season, water levels can exceed 175 meters, the maximum height allowed by the original design. Excessive pressure on the foundation not only increases the risk of erosion, but may also widen hidden cracks over time. Recent studies have found signs of micro-leakage occurring at several contact points between the dam's concrete and the bedrock. Under normal conditions, these are just minor technical flaws, but when combined with seismic aftershocks and rising water pressure, those invisible cracks could be the starting point of a catastrophe. No one can say for sure what will happen if all risk factors converge at once. If the Three Gorges Dam were to fail, the consequences would not just be an engineering disaster, it would be a nightmare of epic proportions. More than 600 million people living downstream along the Yangtze River, from Yicheng to Shanghai, would be in danger. A simulation by a Japanese research group showed that if the dam collapses, floodwaters could submerge the entire city of Wuhan in less than 6 hours. What's troubling is that the Chinese government has never released a realistic evacuation plan for a dam failure scenario. Instead, they keep emphasizing that the Three Gorges is absolutely safe. But in the natural world, nothing is absolute. And when blind faith meets geological reality, the cost could be the lives of millions. State-backed influencers, often called Little Pinks, have long hailed the Three Gorges Dam as one of humanity's greatest engineering feats. At 2.3 kilometers long, 185 meters high, and able to regulate 45 billion cubic meters of water, it stands as a symbol of China's dominance over nature. But behind the pride lies a fragile truth. This giant stands on unstable ground. Built in a seismically active zone, the dam now faces rising risks, especially after the recent 8.7 magnitude quake in Kamchatka. Some may wonder how a quake 4,600 kilometers away could pose a threat, but geology doesn't respect distance. Kamchatka lies on the Pacific Plate, which is subducting under the Okhotsk Plate, part of the massive Eurasian plate that underpins the Three Gorges. The shock sent seismic energy rippling through ancient fault lines, from Kamchatka to the Amur Plate, the Yangtze Plate, and deep into central China. During the rainy season, typically from June to September, the Three Gorges Reservoir is filled close to its maximum level of 175 meters. At this point, more than 45 billion cubic meters of water exert immense pressure on the reservoir floor. If a remote earthquake, even just magnitude 5 or 6, occurs during this time, it can trigger a resonance effect, increasing the risk of structural cracking. A study by the Chinese Institute of Geophysics warned that seismic waves with an amplitude of just 0.2 G, when combined with weak rock and high water levels, could triple the normal stress on the dam's foundation joints. A historical warning exists. In 1963, a landslide near Italy's Vanishing Dam triggered a 200-meter-high wave that overtopped the dam and killed over 2,000 people, even though the dam itself remained intact. A similar disaster could occur at Three Gorges if heavy rains or quakes trigger an upstream landslide while the reservoir is full. A deeper concern lies in China's interconnected fault system. Major faults like Lanzhou, Shaanxi, Wenchuan, and Sichuan have all produced devastating earthquakes. Now, as seismic energy is released from the Kamchatka subduction zone, the landmass compressed between the Pacific and Indian plates may begin to shift. The Yangtze Plate, home to the Three Gorges Dam, sits at the center of this double compression. Ironically, Chinese geologists raised these concerns decades ago, even before construction began. But political and energy goals took priority, and now the risks are far harder to undo. If a worst-case scenario unfolds, such as heavy rain triggering upstream landslides combined with a magnitude 6 or greater aftershock in Sichuan or Hubei, the Qianjiang Fault could awaken. This might crack the bedrock, allowing water infiltration, erosion, and eventual weakening of the dam's foundation. In an extreme case, emergency discharges could be necessary to save the dam, unleashing a catastrophic flood downstream. Cities like Wuhan, Nanjing, and Shanghai would lie directly in the flood's path. Experts at Peking University estimate that if the dam were to fail, the damage could exceed $1.2 trillion and impact over 400 million people. Worryingly, current sensors in the Three Gorges area are not sensitive enough for early detection. Some independent geologists have called for advanced radar and accelerometer systems, but nationwide deployment remains incomplete. Moreover, key data on reservoir bed movement and structural stress is still controlled by a handful of research institutions with little public transparency. Look at that person. The flooding is so severe that people can only climb onto their rooftops. If no one comes to rescue them, it's over. Everyone has to take shelter on the roof to escape the flood. Water has poured into homes and cars are completely submerged. It's over. That house is as good as gone. Oh God, what heavenly punishment have we committed to deserve this? Can ordinary people even survive in conditions like this? There were no warnings at all, and suddenly the upstream released floodwaters, sweeping away this entire area. We're flooded too. Even the power plant is underwater. Look, all the cars have been washed away. Look how far the water has risen. Even the wall in front of the door has been swept away. There's another section below that's also collapsed. I just woke up, and it feels like the sky has fallen. Luckily, I reacted quickly, but even on the rooftop, it doesn't feel safe. If this rain continues like this, we won't hold out much longer. What are we supposed to do in a situation like this? This is Beijing. Have we somehow violated some divine law? Our city is submerged in water, cars are floating, and we could row boats through the streets now. How did it become this bad? 3 reservoirs released floodwater at the same time. Just looking at it makes your head spin. My car has been washed away too. It's stuck somewhere, do you see it? It's completely stuck, and there's nothing I can do. For days, Beijing has been hit by heavy rainfall. The Miyun Reservoir also released floodwater, which mainly affected the Chao River, the Bai River, and the lower Chao Bai River. Areas like Miyun, Huairu, Xunyi, and Tongzhou are all submerged underwater. Many villages in the Miyun district were severely flooded. Residents are trapped in raging waters. In some places, water has risen above the rooftops, even 3 or 4 stories high, and cries for help can be heard everywhere. Heavily affected towns include Dashitun Village, Fengjiayu, and Shicheng. Dashitun is now a sea of water. The ground floor of residential buildings is completely flooded, and many private cars have been swept away. In Fengjiayu, roads, power, and communications have all been cut. It's now an isolated island. Beyond Miyun, other areas like Huairu, Xunyi, Tongzhou, and Pinggu in Beijing are also experiencing serious flooding. I'm currently at the west gate of Fengjiayu. This small building belongs to the bus cooperative. Look, this is what the main street of Fengjiayu looks like now. There's no road left. Everything has been cut off. This is the floodgate, and it hasn't even fully opened yet, but the water vapor has already reached halfway up the mountain. It's expected to get worse this afternoon. Miyun is facing severe flooding. This is the area at the foot of the apartment building where my parents live. The water was low at first, but now I've heard cars have already been swept out of the courtyard. This is the current situation in Dashitun village. Many people are standing on the rooftops. Look at my car. It's floating on top of someone else's vehicle and is about to be washed away. Once the flood recedes, I'll go look for it. This is what they call water pumping, or car pumping, I guess. The car was brand new, and now it's gone with the flood. That brand new BMW was washed away too. My own car is about to disappear. Everything has been swept away by the water. Your car is lucky. At least it got stuck here. Mine got pushed up onto the bank, and the moment it landed, it got stuck there. The Miyun Reservoir began discharging floodwater, and areas near Hebei province have also been heavily affected. A netizen posted that Yangtze village, Liudaohe town, Xinglong County, Hebei province, located only about 500 meters from Xiezhaizi village, Dachengzi town, Miyun district, Beijing, was hit by a severe mudslide and flood disaster. Roads have been cut off. There's no electricity or internet, casualties have occurred, and villagers have not yet been evacuated. They are calling for emergency aid and for the information to be shared. Looking ahead, the road has been completely destroyed by the flood. We didn't dare continue moving forward. The situation in Yangqing and Huairu is very severe. Roads are littered with fallen trees, and many vehicles have been damaged. It's unclear when things will return to normal, as the water level remains very high. Previously, the rain was torrential. Now it's finally letting up, and conditions have become somewhat more stable. To be fair, the construction here held up relatively well, but the entire road is covered in fallen rocks. Both guardrails were washed away, and the river current below is extremely fierce. The Miyun Reservoir started releasing water on the afternoon of July 27th. According to a local streamer, the discharge area was guarded, and filming was prohibited. He could only stream from 20 kilometers away. On the same day, several reservoirs in Miyun, Huairu, and Pinggu also began releasing floodwater simultaneously. Flooding, landslides, and road destruction occurred both within Beijing and in nearby areas. Mountain villages in Huairu lost electricity and water. Roadside villages were submerged, traffic ground to a halt, and communication was lost. The areas receiving discharged water were filled with floating debris, and residents were urged to stay alert. 3 dams released water at once, with flow rates reaching 1,500 cubic meters per second. The floodwaters were terrifying, and everyone was urged to exercise caution. The Miyun Reservoir is still discharging water. The Chaobai River section in Shunyi has risen to capacity. A Beijing resident said that the ground floor of their apartment complex had been completely submerged. Ms. Feng, a town resident, said her neighborhood was located right by the river, so the damage was severe. The water rose above head height, and the ground floor was entirely flooded. Her family had just gone downstairs to move their motorbikes, and within less than 10 minutes, the water rose so fast they couldn't return. The flood arrived suddenly and violently. Within moments, water had reached waist level, roads were overturned, and houses collapsed. A Beijing netizen commented that they realized many places might be in even worse condition, but no information could get out because of power outages, internet loss, and severed communication. In Fengjiayu, there's been no water, power, or network for 3 days. In Huajiatai village, Dachengzi town, Miyun district, a broken bridge has prevented rescue. There's no electricity, no internet. A family member took to the internet to plead for help and called for more helicopters. Many people are still waiting for rescue, and online pleas for help continue. A resident in Gaozhuangzi village, Fengjiayu town, Miyun district, said, "I was lucky to survive, but there are still elderly people in my house. We have no water, no electricity, no food, no signal. We sincerely hope the government can send help quickly." Doors of many small houses were broken by the flood. Residents had to climb onto rooftops to escape and couldn't leave. Currently, many villages in Beijing are still affected. People are trapped and in urgent need of rescue. Online platforms are flooded with cries for help, but so far there has been no official rescue response. Many video clips cannot be uploaded. A netizen in Beijing recorded an urgent video plea for help on behalf of a close friend, but the authorities have shirked their responsibilities. An entire village still hasn't been rescued. Surely everyone has seen the news these past few days. Heavy rain has continuously poured down on residential areas across Beijing. But I want to emphasize that many small villages have yet to receive any rescue assistance. A few close friends and I, who are working far from home, are still trying to find ways to help. Today, we've been staying in contact, and everyone said they had called the town's emergency line, 12345, early in the morning to report the situation. They were told that rescue teams had already been dispatched, reportedly around 5 a.m. However, by the time it was past 7 p.m., no one had been evacuated. Right now, I feel utterly helpless, and I'm posting this video in the hope of drawing more attention. There is still an entire village that hasn't been rescued. Please don't forget the most remote village in this suburban area. I honestly don't know what the situation is like inside, and that makes me very anxious. Maybe I'm overreacting, and if things turn out to be okay, that would be the best outcome. If I've exaggerated or caused unnecessary trouble, I'm willing to apologize for my tone and for bothering the staff. The real issue is, nobody knows what's really going on, and that's why I'm so worried. If you see this video, please help share it. Help us draw more attention. In 2025, China has been hit by one natural disaster after another. Even the Taklamakan Desert in Xinjiang has experienced flooding, while Henan faces a severe drought, leading bloggers to worry about complete crop failure. In some places, farmland has been abandoned for over 20 years. The vegetation is dry and withered. Just a light touch causes the leaves to fall, and the slightest spark could set everything ablaze. One soybean field bloomed, but only yielded a few beans, even smaller than wild growing ones.